Aloha. This session will introduce you to the nonviolent communication mediation process. If you don't know what nonviolent communication is, we encourage you to look it up and learn more about it, but it's not necessary to know NVC to be able to do this process. To reinforce a key point that we'll make again and again, what makes NVC mediation different from other forms of mediation is our strong focus on creating connection above all else. We believe that if people can come back into positive relationship, creative solutions come quickly. This whole thing starts because there's a conflict. So person A wants something and person B wants something different, and they're experiencing conflict at the level of their desired strategies they're employing to get what they want. And this conflict has led them to the forest of disconnection. They've fallen prey to jackal-like things, judgments and demands and attacks and manipulations. But this is where we want them to be. We want to meet at the watering hole and drink deep from the satisfying pool of universal needs met. And these needs are things like safety and love, the motivators for all human action. Our universal needs are never in conflict. It's just our strategies to meet the needs that cause conflict. So if we focus on our needs, which both people have, and which can't be argued, we can be at a place where clear requests can flow freely and creative strategies can be employed from a space of love and a sense of overflowing abundance. The goal is to get people feeling compassion for each other's needs. Then they naturally want to give and receive, and creative solutions arise. So the mediator is just a guide. How do we guide the participants? Well, we start by creating a safe space, maintaining a calm and alert presence. We use empathy and honesty, following the nonviolent communication model, starting at the top with reflection of observations. Then as rapport is built, we move along to reflecting feelings and identify and reflect needs to get them to that place of connection. So the mediator listens for the first person's need, and then feeds that to the other person, and then asks that other person to reflect it back, right? Going back and forth. We do the same thing for B. We go back and forth, creating connection by exploring and focusing both people on the universal needs. Now, before we work with participants, we as mediators need to follow the flight attendant's advice, right? Of put your own oxygen mask on first before attempting to help others. So we check in with ourselves and we give ourselves empathy and bring in whatever internal supportive resources that we can. There's really just two agreements that we need the participants to make. We want to make sure that, number one, they don't interrupt each other or you. And number two, we want them to, agree to repeat a phrase that we'll provide that summarizes what the other person is saying. And both people probably want to speak first, but since listening is more important in this case, we ask who wants to listen first. And then we ask each person, what's up for you now, to keep the focus on the present moment and allow their story to blossom. Now, to build connection with a person, we start by reflecting their observations. We focus just on the data of the situation they're expressing, what a camera might observe, to avoid anything that might be considered negative or judgmental, since we want to keep things moving towards connection. And then we listen deeper and take a guess at what they might be feeling, and then confirm that we have it right. These feelings will help us identify the underlying universal needs, and we'll also confirm that we have those right with the person. And then we ask the other person to repeat that need phrase that we spoon feed them, handing it back to the first person as a gift of connection. And that's really all there is to it. That's the pattern. Trust the pattern, and the participants will find their way to their own solutions. The only thing we do to close is to make sure that their agreements follow the SMART criteria. Simple to do, measurable, indicating how you'll know it's completed, achievable to set them up for success, relevant, meaning it meets all the needs we've identified, and time-bound, we know when it's going to happen. Some people don't like the word need, perhaps because they associate with neediness, and also it could be awkward to use the word need when identifying a need met versus one not yet met. So we have other ways of saying the same thing. You could say, X values safety, or safety is important to this person, or this person's appreciating safety. Now, while you're speaking with one of the people, the other person listening may have a growing bubble of pain building within them. And sometimes this pops, resulting in that person interrupting or verbally attacking the other person, or maybe even the mediator. If that happens, we want to interrupt the person, but we want to do it with empathy. So before we correct them, we first acknowledge the hurt person's feelings and needs. Then we request a return to the pattern for safety and so everyone can be heard. But we do want to get back to that person in pain as soon as possible. One good strategy, if as a mediator you're feeling attacked or you're just overwhelmed or feeling hopeless, is to just be honest, admit your own feelings and needs. This de escalates the situation and fosters connection for everybody. And don't forget to thank and appreciate your participants. Every time they do something you ask them to do, say thank you. This also helps in building connection, and it's a useful tool for interrupting in a polite way when you need to move things along. Silence is a powerful tool for empathy. It may be uncomfortable, especially as feelings arise, but it gives people space to process their feelings and needs. And since we all share the same universal needs, we quite often get to a place where one person expresses the same need as the other one. For example, they might both have a need to be loved or a need for safety. Highlight that, bring it to light, and let that really foster connection. Eventually, one or both of the parties is going to start offering solutions and let them. But here's the key, stay to the pattern. Often they want to rush to solution before there's enough connection or before deeper and more vulnerable needs have been expressed, and the train will go off the rails. So just stick to the basic mediation pattern to get things back on track. It's often tempting to intervene, to offer suggestions, introduce other tools or modalities or coaching or therapy skills into this. This isn't the place for those. Ours is a simple, yet not easy process. Just stay to the path. Remember the overarching goal of building connection through needs awareness and trust the participants to be able to create solutions once they're back in connection. So that's it. What now? Well, the old joke goes that a lost tourist walked up to a local New Yorker and asked him, "How do you get to Carnegie Hall?" And the person answered, "Practice, practice, practice." So the best way to learn NVC mediation is to experience it and practice it. So go find a practice group. The person who sent you this presentation can likely direct you to one. And we wish you peace upon your journey.